Welcome back, guys. Angel of the Night here. We are back again with the Team Star Challenge, and as you guys know, we are getting into battle number 29. Now, with this competition, we are required to use only Pokemon obtained by Team Star, and every team is required to have Revaroom. Now, our opponent here today is going to lead off with a Torkoal, setting up the Drought, which actually sets the Sunlight to Harsh, boosting all firepower and lowering water-based moves. We do have Annihilape here out onto the field, and we should be going in for the Drain Punch here. However, we are also going to go for that Terrestrialization as well, just in case that opponent goes for Overheat or goes for any kind of a Heat Wave or an Eruption. I'm hoping that we'll be able to survive that with the Tera Water. Now, if I do end up going in and getting an actual decent Drain Punch off, we might actually be able to take out this Torkoal. However, Torkoal is a very bulky Pokemon. Now, this is something that actually kind of throws me off here. Fissure. Now, honestly, I haven't seen anyone really use Fissure at all in a lot of years. I think I'm the only one that's actually used Fissure probably on anything like, Charizard or anything like that in Gen 1, But I don't really see people going for these one-hit KO moves very often. Torkoal, of course, did not get the Fissure right away. They end up going in and setting up the Stealth Rocks. And pretty much at this point, we're getting into the third round. So here we go with the Drain Punch after that bulk up, and that boost in attack does definitely help. However, with the Torkoal, they do activate a berry, and the berry is a citrus berry. So they're going to go in for the Fissure here move one more time, and it looks like they're actually able to make contact. Now, honestly, I don't really understand why you would want to go in with Fissure, especially when you have a Torkoal. Torkoal is a very good, high-quality Pokemon to have, and there are so many different ways to use it. I probably wouldn't rely on Fissure on its own. Now, of course, we are now going to come in with our Krookodile because Revaroom is not a very good type matchup here. So we are going to come in with the Krookodile. We're going to go in for the Earthquake in hopes that we're actually going to be able to do some damage off onto that Torkoal. Now, there's a couple of possibilities that could happen. Torkoal could go for a Tera change to a type that has an advantage or does not have as much weakness to this Earthquake. We could also see the perhaps change to a Revaroom where they have an Air Balloon. Now, it's all up in the air at this point. They could also go to another Pokemon as well entirely that's not affected by ground-based moves. You never know. So, in this situation here, they've actually opted into swapping Torkoal, which we kind of figured might happen, but they end up going into DACHSBUN. Now, DACHSBUN, of course, I don't know enough about. I know it's a very bulky kind of Pokemon if you set it up right, and I know any kind of fire-based moves boosts up some defensive values. So it is a fairy type Pokemon, so we decided to try to go for the Gunk Shot. However, the DACHSBUN ends up going for the Yawn, making our Krookodile drowsy. Now, of course, the Sunlight has faded, which means that any kind of fire moves are no longer boosted, but that's just a quick change back over to their Torkoal. Now, I'm pretty sure at this point we're going to swap out here our Krookodile to our Revaroom. Now, of course, Revaroom is a Steel-type Pokemon, but it is also Poison. So it should be able to do some decent amount of damage if it can actually make contact with this DACHSBUN. Now, they do have the potential of going for Yawn multiple times because this is VGC. There are no regulations against Sleep Claws. And they ended up going in for the Wish. Now, if they actually do manage to keep the DACHSBUN in, they will actually regain the health that it has already lost. But if it ends up swapping out to Torkoal, and Torkoal can take a hit, then it'll actually regain the health that Torkoal lost. It all depends on who comes in the next turn. Now, this is a very crucial point here, because if I can't get this DACHSBUN out, this battle might be lost, depending on if I can get any kind of a Poison or Steel-based move in. Now, they are going to swap out, go back in, I believe, to Torkoal here, and Torkoal is going to get majority of their health back. Now, by coming back in, they've also set up the Drought, which sets up the Sun, and Torkoal is able to get some damage based off of that move, that Gunk Shot. However, as you can see, there's the Wish. Now, I'm not really in a good situation here right now, but I am able to outspeed this Torkoal, which means that I can go for the high horsepower. Unfortunately for me, it was not enough to be able to pick up that KO, and they managed to get an Overheat, sacking their special attack. So my Air Balloon pops and Revaroom goes down. So that is now 2 Pokemon out of the 3 that I had available. The only Pokemon that I have right now is Krookodile, so I do have to go back in with Krookodile here in order to try to make up for lost ground. Krookodile, of course, if I do go in for the Earthquake here, I should be able to take out the Torkoal. If I end up going in for a Gunk Shot and I switch out to DACHSBUN, I might be able to take it out that way. However, if they go in with their Revaroom, it might be on an air balloon, and, well, I mean, I might be able to pop the air balloon if I get Gunk Shot, but if I went for the Earthquake and they're on an air balloon, then I'm kind of up the creek without a paddle. So there's so many different possibilities here and so many things you have to take into consideration. They did not switch this turn. We did get a critical hit, however, and we do pick up that KO off onto the Torkoal with that Earthquake. Pretty awesome there. I'm really glad that we don't have to worry about Torkoal anymore. We do have to, though, worry about DACHSBUN, because DACHSBUN is a Fairy-type Pokemon. If it has a Play Rough and I miss a move, that could be devastating for Krookodile, okay? Krookodile would go down in the history with some shame. Fairy-type Pokemon. Anyway, our opponent here is now going to come back in. Well, not come back in. I say come back in because I've seen nothing but Revaroom. Our opponent's going to come in with their Revaroom, okay? We are locked into our move here. I do not remember if I've seen the air balloon or not there, but usually these things do tend to have the air balloon or terrestrial to fly. So we'll see here what happens. We actually ended up going in for terrestrial to ground, which is actually kind of what? But I've never seen Tera ground for the Revaroom. So, I mean, it might be able to take that hit of the Earthquake. It does go to very, very low HP. They do end up getting the Shift Gear, which boosts their speed and their attack, but of course we've got the Mirror Herb. Now, Mirror Herb, of course, does copy the stat changes over, so I've got a +1 in attack, and I've also got +1 in speed. So we are mirroring exactly what that Revaroom just got, which is pretty awesome, because now we should still be able to outspeed that Revaroom, unless for some odd reason there's some weird, crazy speed tie, which I don't foresee happening, but things have been stranger. We're going to go in for the knockoff here. We actually pick up that KO off onto the Revaroom, and I say thank you very much for the stat boost. So, last and final Pokemon on each team, we've got Krookodile, and we've got DACHSBUN on the opposing side. Now, what's awesome is I've actually got a Moxie boost, so that's actually going to boost up my attack stat even further. So, DACHSBUN comes back in, and I'm hoping I'm going to be able to take this Pokemon out. Now, knockoff, probably not the right call. But I do also have quite a few boosts in attack already, so that might actually help out. But in this situation here, the battle has been forfeited, and that is game. So, hope you enjoyed.